How the rich quietly manipulate your mind to make more money. Art of Fortune welcomes you all. Do you know what children from truly wealthy families are learning? There's a method that can turn everyone around you into your personal slaves, making them worship you, work for you, make money for you, and be controlled at your will. You might think this is some kind of dark magic, but in reality, politicians and capitalists have already applied this method to make 97% of the population unconsciously become their slaves. Even scammers and terrible men have used this method to manipulate countless people. This method is incredibly powerful. But if you just want to make your partner, children, or subordinates obey you, learning just a small part of it is enough. If you've learned a lot about entrepreneurship and making money but still haven't seen results, then today you absolutely must grasp this method. There are 3 types of power in this world that can easily control a person. First is the power of money. If you offer a large enough sum, theoretically, you could even hire Li Ka-shing to wash your car. Second is the power of violence. Nobody wants to eat something disgusting, right? But if someone points a gun at you, would you dare refuse? Third is the power of beauty. I have a friend who is a model. She went to the queue for some paperwork. Regulations said she had to wait 3 days to receive the documents. But after just a short while, several male staff members automatically came over asking if she needed help. The result? She got her documents the same day. This shows the world is inherently unfair. So, in such an unfair world, what should those without money, power, or beauty do? Today, I will reveal to you an equally unfair secret. If you learn a supreme skill, you can make the rich give you money, the powerful work for you, and even make beautiful women become your lovers without difficulty. So, what is that method? It's like martial arts, divisible into external styles, Weijiachuan, and internal styles, Nijiachuan. The external style is the art of rulership, a method exploiting human nature, leaning towards direct and forceful power and scheming. The internal style is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, a discipline often called programming the language of the mind, gentler and more subtle. Years ago, after I learned this method, it was as if my Ren and Du meridians were opened, concept from traditional Chinese medicine signifying enlightenment. I immediately awakened. I realized that everything I previously couldn't obtain, I could now easily grasp or let go of at will. However, I want to emphasize, this method has no right or wrong, it all depends on how you use it. If you are not a person of integrity, please don't learn it. But if you desire financial freedom, the first thing you need to do is connect your energy with mine by liking this video. My channel, Art of Fortune, specializes in sharing the mindset of wealth, becoming entrepreneurs, investors, and financially free individuals. If you don't want to miss this information, do as over 50,000 other brothers and sisters have done. Subscribe for free to my channel and turn on notifications. Actually, the NLP method is very simple. Summarized in one sentence, don't view the people around you as human beings. I don't mean to offend anyone, but the truth is hard to hear. Have you ever truly thought about whether you are a human being? You are born, nurtured, then sent to school. What's the purpose of studying? To have a stable future. To earn money. Buy a house. Buy a car. Find a partner. Have children. Then, you put your own children on the same old path. Study. Earn money. Marry. Have children. Finally, you retire to enjoy old age. Frankly, that's no different from waiting to die. 97% of people follow this path without thinking or awakening. Try asking someone, why did you get married? They'll answer, it's time, no other choice. My siblings are all married. Everyone thinks Americans know how to enjoy life. But according to statistics, over 90% of Americans dislike their jobs. This means most people spend half their lives doing things they don't like. Therefore, you'll realize people are divided into 2 types. 3% are those with souls, meaning those who have awakened. They realize life inherently has no meaning, but they have genuinely thought about and determined what they want. So, they actively create meaning for themselves. The remaining 97% of people lack souls. They are just waiting to be awakened. More accurately, they aren't truly human beings, but just followers, controlled by us. Have you ever wondered why soldiers, despite possessing ultimate armed power, willingly obey a leader? When you tell them to run, they ask, how far? When you tell them to jump, they ask, how high? When you tell them to shoot, they ask, "At whom?" This is absolute obedience to orders and discipline. The military turns a person into someone as obedient as a puppy. You say stand, they stand. You say sit, they sit. This method of training soldiers is actually learned by children from wealthy families from a young age. Leaders also learn it, and it's called brainwashing. Pay attention. Brainwashing isn't actually as mystical or illusory as you think. In fact, many have talked about it. But sometimes they do it right, sometimes wrong, sometimes not even fully implementing it. Basically, brainwashing is no different from animal training methods. Have you ever wondered why dolphins in zoos can perform spectacular tricks to entertain audiences? Were they born knowing how to do that to please humans? Of course not. It's the result of capitalists spending money to hire people to train them, aiming to attract audiences and make profits. But the training method itself is very simple. When a new dolphin is brought in for training, it knows nothing. The trainer prepares a bucket of fish and a whistle. They observe the dolphin swimming. The very instant its head accidentally breaks the water's surface, the trainer immediately blows the whistle, beep. Upon hearing the sound, the dolphin looks towards the source. At that moment, the trainer immediately throws it a fish. Reward is the common language between humans and animals. Initially, the dolphin doesn't understand why it's being fed. But after repeated instances, it realizes that every time it surfaces its head, it hears the beep sound, and someone throws it fish. Gradually, its subconscious forms a reflex. Turns out just surfacing my head gets me fish. So, it continuously surfaces its head to get fish. However, after a while, when the dolphin surfaces its head, the trainer doesn't blow the whistle and doesn't throw fish. Now, the dolphin doubts itself. Why no fish? Did I do something wrong? And it continues trying. After many attempts, one time the dolphin accidentally brings half its body out of the water. In that instant, the trainer seizes the opportunity. In a fraction of a second, blows the whistle beep, then throws it a fish. Now, the dolphin has an epiphany. Turns out I have to bring half my body out of the water to get rewarded with fish. So, it repeatedly performs this action. But later, when it performs the correct action, and the trainer still doesn't give fish, the dolphin starts doubting again and tries other actions to attract attention. Finally, it leaps its entire body out of the water. And immediately, the trainer blows the whistle and rewards it with fish. This method can be applied to many other animals. You can even train a dog to have gender bias. If you have a puppy, every time it barks upon seeing someone, you pet its head, praise it, maybe even reward it with a small treat. If repeated long enough, the dog forms a habit. Seeing a person means barking. You can make this even more subtle. When the dog sees a man and barks, you reward it with a small treat. But if it barks upon seeing a woman, you scold it and give no food. Over time, it will only bark upon seeing men. If you understand this, try reflecting on your own life. From childhood, didn't teachers always praise obedient, studious students? They said, just study hard, get into university, then you'll get a good job and make good money. But then what? You graduate, can't find a job, and are burdened with student loan debt. You struggle to find someone willing to marry you. But why? In a year, do you dare not even take one vacation? Why? During holidays, can you only stay home, trying to save money for marriage and children? Why? Every day, do you risk your life to earn money, only for half of it to go towards rent, flowing into the pockets of capitalists? Because from a young age, you were trained and brainwashed to become employees serving them. The money you earn actually belongs to us. You do well, we give you a small bonus. You do poorly, we reprimand you. Have you realized? 97% of people live like domesticated animals. And the teachers in schools are the trainers. Understand? You think earning $100 a year is high? To us, that's just monthly income, maybe even hourly. Why? Because we escaped the brainwashing framework that traps the other 97%. We see the world differently. You might think brainwashing is simple. Just apply the rule of reward and punishment. But in reality, many know what they need to do but misunderstand how to do it. Incorrect brainwashing can cause side effects. Why are the poor poor? Because from childhood, they were brainwashed by their parents with a poverty mindset. See if this holds true. I'll use child-rearing examples to help you understand the difference between right and wrong brainwashing. When a child does something wrong, Parents often scold, "Don't do that." If the child continues, they yell louder. Let's say the parent's volume can be measured on a scale from 0 to 10. Initially, they yell at level 3. If the child doesn't listen, they increase to level 6. At this point, the sound might startle the child into stopping out of fear. But the next time the child makes the same mistake, the parent continues yelling at level 6. Gradually, the child gets used to this volume and no longer reacts. Then, the parent has to yell louder, maybe up to level 10. The first time, it might still scare the child. But if they yell at level 10 every time, the child becomes completely immune. At that point, even if the parent yells until their voice is hoarse, the child no longer listens. Usually, when reaching this stage, they complain to friends and relatives, "My child is beyond help." But in reality, the entire problem stems from you. You trained and brainwashed your child that way. A common method used by 97% of parents is promising rewards. They tell their child, "If you get 90 points on this exam, Mom will buy you a game console." The child then tries hard to study. If the first time they get 90, you actually buy them the game console. The second time, they maintain the 90-point achievement. But by the third time, if they don't get that score, you again promise, "If you get 90 points, Mom will buy you another game console." Do you see the problem? That promise has lost its appeal. So, what must you do? Increase the reward value. Second time, a computer. Next time, a car. Then a house. What's the result? You've made your child increasingly greedy, eventually losing interest in learning itself. For them, learning is no longer about acquiring knowledge, but just about exchanging for rewards. I observe that most middle-class families apply this educational method. That's why nowadays people often talk about relying on parents, Ken Lao, depending on the older generation. Why are there so many spoiled rich kids squandering wealth? Why, when parents pass away, do siblings fight over inheritance, destroying what the parents built? It's all because they don't understand the nature of brainwashing. They just apply it mechanically without understanding the root cause. You might temporarily make your children obedient, but inadvertently train them into the type of person you hate most. So, how to change someone's thinking? 97% of parents, when hearing their baby cry, besides checking for wet diapers or hunger, reflexively pick up the baby, soothe, and cuddle. If you were a baby and wanted to be cuddled, what would you do? Naturally, cry. This is easy to understand. And to stop the crying, many parents use a familiar method: stuff food in the mouth. When the child cries excessively, making the parent unable to bear it, they put candy or a snack into the child's mouth, preferably something that takes a long time to chew. Because a child can't eat and cry simultaneously, what's the result? The mother has unintentionally trained her child to become an expert crier. Because in the past, crying always led to getting sweets. So, how would a wealthy family teach a child not to cry and be obedient? I remember once going out with a friend, a young master from a rich family, and his family, at that time, his sister's daughter, sitting in the back seat, suddenly started crying incessantly. I asked, "Is she hungry or need the toilet?" His sister just smiled, shook her head, and told me not to mind. Everyone in the car reacted indifferently. At that moment, I thought these people were so cold. Their child is crying like this, yet they remain indifferent. But later I understood. They were patiently waiting for something. They told me, no matter how long a child cries, it's like an NBA basketball game, there's always a halftime break. After crying for a while, the baby has to stop to breathe. And precisely at the moment her daughter paused to catch her breath, the sister gently stroked the baby's head, smiled, and placed a piece of candy in her mouth for her to taste. As the baby started sensing the sweetness, curiosity arose. Right then, the sister immediately took the candy back. The baby girl started crying again. I felt this was so cruel. But the whole family remained very calm, until her daughter cried and cried, then paused again to breathe. The sister again gently stroked her head, smiled, and put the candy in her mouth. She repeated this action many times. About 15 minutes later, the little girl completely stopped crying. Do you understand? This training method helps the child realize that only when not crying do they get rewarded. Meanwhile, most parents do the opposite. When the child cries, they rush to stuff candy in their mouth to soothe them. This unintentionally teaches the child that crying is the way to get rewards. So, what is this called? It's the child successfully training the parent. When the baby wants candy, just cry, and mom immediately yields. This is also why the wealthy pay special attention to meditation, tea ceremony, flower arrangement, piano, because they want to cultivate patience and observation skills. Factors extremely crucial in brainwashing and psychological control. Have you ever wondered why luxury handbags cost exorbitant amounts despite low production costs? Simple designs, maybe even unattractive branding for some? Why are many people willing to spend months' salary chasing these items? What methods have we used to manipulate customer psychology, making them buy our products? I remember my first exposure to the concept of brainwashing was in university. I took a psychology course, and the professor conducted a very interesting experiment. He gathered all male students for a secret meeting. He instructed that from that day on, if any female student came to class wearing red, all of us had to smile, be friendly, even show extreme care and praise them. However, we couldn't directly say, "You look beautiful in red today," but just praise their beauty generally. If someone didn't wear red, we treated them normally. The experiment's purpose was simple. If increasingly more female students wore red to class, it proved this brainwashing technique worked. I majored in economics and finance, so I found this experiment extremely interesting. After the meeting, all of us held another secret meeting. We decided to apply the same method to our professor. We agreed that whenever the professor lectured and stepped to the left side of the classroom, all students would appear attentive, eagerly taking notes, nodding, smiling, showing the lecture was captivating. But when he stepped to the right, the whole class would act bored, tired, listless, some even pretending to sleep or turning to chat. Both experiments ran concurrently for a month. The result? After a month, many female students started wearing red to class. The professor stood mid-class and announced the results. This is the NLP technique in brainwashing. It can indirectly influence a person's decisions. But the interesting part was, the female students didn't realize they had been influenced. They simply thought red was the season's trend. The professor continued explaining, human behavior can be influenced unconsciously. The whole class burst into laughter. Because at that moment, he was leaning against the wall on the left side of the podium. The area we had subtly influenced for a month. In fact, he had been lecturing from that spot for nearly an hour. We then told the professor that we had actually applied this method to him too. Hearing this, the professor retorted, "Standing on the left to lecture is just my habit." That moment was an instant awakening for me. I suddenly realized, when someone is brainwashed, they believe all their decisions are voluntary, not controlled by anyone. So, you'll realize, when you carry an LV, Gucci, or other luxury brand bag, you receive admiration and praise from people. But if you carry an ordinary bag, nobody pays attention. In other words, if our products, as business people, can create an atmosphere where users feel admired and praised, we can create trends. And the way to do that is to sell products at high prices and build a strong brand. Now, I'll reveal a secret about language. If you want to control someone's thoughts, the most direct way is through your words. Example, if I tell you, don't think about the sour taste of lemon juice flooding your mouth. Or, don't imagine holding half a lemon, bringing it to your mouth, squeezing it hard so the sour juice spreads throughout. Or, don't feel the sourness making you shudder, and don't let saliva flow. So, when you hear me say these things, I believe many have already started feeling sourness in their mouths and salivating. Because I told you not to think about it. But precisely then, you couldn't help but think about it. If you truly had no reaction, there are only two possibilities. 1. You don't understand what I'm saying. 2. You've never tasted anything sour in your life. If either is the case, then I cannot influence you. Because when I say, don't think about the sourness of lemon, your brain is forced to understand this sentence by retrieving memories, searching for a similar experience. The instant you recall an experience related to sourness, your body's nervous system immediately reacts, and saliva follows suit. So, why don't people around you listen to you? You'll see, when a child is running around wildly, if you tell them, don't run around anymore, they just keep running. If you constantly tell your child, don't do this, don't do that, forbidding everything, in the end, they just want to do all those things even more. If your employee is often late, And you tell them, from now on, don't be late anymore. They continue being late as usual. When you tell a customer, I'm not cheating you, their first reaction might be suspicion that you are cheating them. If you tell your boss, boss, don't worry, perhaps the boss worries even more. A girl, if pursued by a guy she doesn't like, often says, please don't love me, we have no future. But I bet this very sentence makes the guy try even harder to pursue her. Like a lovesick fool refusing to let go. Why? When hearing, don't love me, the first thing that pops into the other person's head is, love me. Hearing, no future, the first reaction is thinking about, future. These things sound simple, but actually, great truths are always hidden in simplicity. Believe me, just by changing how you use language, your life will change miraculously. You'll find everyone around you listens and follows your words. Example. When you see a child running wildly, instead of saying, don't run anymore, say, stop, or, sit down. When reminding an employee about lateness, instead of, don't be late, you should say, be earlier next time, rather than, don't be late again later. When talking to customers, you should say, what I say is the truth. Believe me, instead of, I'm not cheating you. If rejecting a guy you don't like, say, I only see you as a friend. Please give up, instead of, don't love me. Have you understood? To make others follow your words, you must clearly state what you want them to do, not what you don't want. Remember, each of us is like a machine. In the brain, there's a pre-existing program. Once programmed, we automatically follow it without thinking. Example. When driving, we see a red light and automatically stop. Right? If you drive every day, you don't need to think about each step. Similarly, if the brain didn't have preset operating programs, humans would find it very difficult to survive. Imagine waking up every morning and having to remind yourself how to walk. First, lift your right foot, place it forward one step, then lower. If you had to remind yourself like this every day, humans might have gone extinct long ago. Now that you know this secret, I want to tell you that 98% of human habits and thoughts in daily life are automated programs. From which hand to put on clothes first, the order of brushing teeth and washing face, to intimate activities with a spouse, everything follows a certain sequence. So, humans aren't actually as rational as they think. But the problem is, they consider themselves rational beings. Therefore, if you want to influence someone, don't try to persuade with logic. If reasoning alone could change someone's mind, there would be no disputes in this world. You have a friend with high blood pressure. You advise him to limit fatty foods. Eat more greens. He'll say, got it, then immediately turn around and eat braised pork belly. Therefore, you need to apply the method I mentioned. Treat people like animals. Use brainwashing and training techniques to achieve your goals. If you want to apply this to make money, you need to grasp the trend. The first people to start businesses during the reform and opening up era got rich. The first to invest in real estate struck gold. The first to do e-commerce also made a fortune. So, what is the era now? It is the era of personal media. Why can many people sell NFTs at exorbitant prices, yet still find buyers? Because in the next 10 years, fans will become the most valuable asset. Everyone can create their own community, and you yourself become the leader of that community. How many people do business their whole lives? Even artists who dedicated decades to entertainment. But when they start posting videos online, the money they earn surpasses their entire previous career combined? It's all because they followed the trend. When you catch the trend, money flows into your pocket without much effort. Due to time constraints, I will conclude here. Art of Fortune shares free information on how to become wealthy, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with those who need it. I sincerely wish the brothers and sisters who liked this video will soon achieve financial freedom. As long as you found 1 or 2 useful sentences in today's content that can help improve your life, I am already satisfied.